Professor Washington Ochieng. The other day I was in Riyadh. I met a group of guys who did the Dubai Metro and are doing the Riyadh Metro. George Opondo. There are Kenyans out there who are willing, so we must get creative. There's a PPP department that has been set up in the National Treasury. There's external borrowing, but we must refinance this city. Look at Joburg. Joburg is almost, it's more or less a listed city where people can actually invest in it. If you do not do that, you become a cashier. That you're receiving money, you only pay salaries, you will not develop Nairobi unless you get creative in how we actually, structure our financing model for the city. So we're going to restructure the debt, move to concessional loans, re-amortize some of those payments to longer term, and have an infrastructure bond for Nairobi City. Many Kenyans out there are going to put in money on our transit, on our water, and our basic infrastructure.
Bwana Polycarp, utakabili vipi matumizi ya mabaya ya rasilimali katika kaunti ya Nairobi, ufujaji wa fedha na madeni ambayo sasa hivi yanaangamiza kaunti ya Nairobi?
Jambo la kwanza, Nairobi City County gets its highest revenue from land rates. Parking bays, land rates, parking fees, outdoor advertising, building permits. Those would be some of the top, within the top 5 revenue things. And what we are going to do is to make sure that we digitalize the collection of all that revenue so that the leakage, we seal the leakage. Technology is one of the best things to overcome loss of revenue. And we are going to use technology in the public revenue management system. Then secondly, we will deploy that money. Our own source revenue, I can promise, we and Professor Kaloki have done a study, and we've even checked the reports of the Commission for Revenue Allocation. With 6 revenue lines, we can generate 80 billion own source revenue in Nairobi. And with that money, we will build 1,000. We will join the government in building more schools, in making sure there's medicine in our dispensaries, in making sure that there's incinerators to burn garbage, that we start a leasing program for vehicles and equipment for the staff, and also to make sure we pay our staff the right salaries so that they are really motivated. We are very concerned about the welfare of Nairobi City County workers and all the workers of all affiliate bodies of Nairobi City County. Only motivated workers can deliver essential services, and that's what Nairobians want.
And that brings me to the next issue, and that is the competence of the Nairobi City County staff, and you will both have an opportunity to respond to this. How will you address the competence or lack thereof, overemployment, cases of ghost workers, and the issue of productivity to make those staff workers, the workers of Nairobi City County, that they will deliver the services for the Nairobians? I'll start with you.
Every employee of Nairobi City County, from the 10th of August, we shall have a performance agreement with them. We will bring back to life performance contracting. And that performance agreement means what do they do every day, the few things they do every day to deliver the output Nairobians expect. And that output will be captured in a scorecard. So each one of us will have a scorecard and a performance agreement. The performance agreement is the input, the scorecard is the measure. And who will measure is the neighborhood associations. We're going to run Nairobi with the neighborhood associations as per the Neighborhoods Act. There is an act that demands the city is run in a see-through way, let me not call it transparent. That, and I want to use the analogy of an egg. The executive of Nairobi City County will be the yolk. Surrounding it will be the county assembly as the egg white. The egg shell will be the residents of Nairobi. Kwa sababu, we will not pay an invoice for a road or a broken sewer before the neighborhood association, say of Kayole, sends us a photo. So there's crowdsourcing. We are going to use technology and the cloud and a data center that can really be able to serve the city of Nairobi. And we shall decentralize services from City Hall. City Hall will be the headquarters of the corporate services. There is no use for a waiter, like I found a waiter, a restaurant, somebody working somewhere in Umoja, telling me they have to come all the way to CBD ati anakuja kutafuta food handler certificate. No. That food handler certificate, they should be able to get it in Umoja.
SAKAJA, I think you were tickled there again. Was a point to mention the cloud issue, but how will you address the staffing for Nairobi County?
Unajua mavijana wa Nairobi wakisikia vile amesema hiyo story ya mayai, anasema anatubeba kimayai. Many of those ideas, really, this is not equity, this is not corporate. You must take the bull by the horns and give practical solutions to our city. And let me give you an example. You're talking about, you know, one of the highest revenue streams, you know, being rates. Have you talked to us about the rate classification of those rates? Why is it that people in Githogoro are paying the same rate as people in Runda, which is just, you know, a doorstep away, yet they have Mabati structures and these ones have 5-star houses? You know, let's be practical, because that is what Nairobians want to be able to hear. Now, the sectional properties bill that was passed in Parliament recently prevents an opportunity. I've heard him saying he's done a study with Professor Kaloki. I know Professor Kaloki is a professor, and maybe that's why we've not been seeing you guys campaigning, because you're doing studies. But look at what KPMG has spoken about Nairobi, look at what PwC have said, and the CRA. It is not just 6 revenue streams that are going to increase how much we collect. Just the sectional properties realignment and the revaluation that starts in January 2023 is going to take us up another 50 to 53 billion shillings. Every other revenue stream then must be geared towards making Nairobians more productive. The NMS that you praise has been going around this city with GSU, harassing our traders and our hawkers, throwing them into, you know, those pickups, tetanus field pickups and roadworthy. By the way, on the 9th, if you're listening and you're a scrap metal dealer, come to City Hall. Revenue has gone down to 7 billion. Why is that? Because you're not explaining to the people of Nairobi the services you're offering with the money you collect from them. We will have a people-centered leadership. Cloud is a tool.
Na muda umekwisha.
Your focus must be on the people you're serving. You can't be.
Muda umekwisha bwana seneta, lakini umekuwa seneta wa kaunti ya Nairobi. Umewajibika vipi katika kuona kwamba pesa za kaunti ya Nairobi zinatumika namna inavyostahili, hakuna wizi, hakuna watu wasiofanya kazi ambao wanalipwa? Umekuwa seneta, wewe ndiye macho ya kaunti ya Nairobi.
Zubeda, nadhani kabla kuja hapa mlifanya utafiti.
Umewajibika vipi seneta katika kuhakikisha kwamba pesa za kaunti ya Nairobi zimetumika vyema?
My time is counting while you're talking. Kama mlifanya utafiti, ungeona zile ripoti ambazo nimewasilisha, zile miswada na hoja ambazo nimezileta kwa bunge. Hapo kati ya hizo miswada na hoja, kuna ile ambayo inaitwa prompt payment bill, ambayo pia wale wengine walijaribu kuweka katika mswada wa BBI walikuwa wanaleta. Ilikuwa nimeshapitisha kwa bunge. Ukiangalia yale unajua zile ripoti ambazo nimewasilisha kwa bunge, zinazungumza itakuwa ni njia gani tutatumia, mbinu gani, form itakuwa vipi kwa kisha ule jamaa. There's a guy who works just across over here in Cultivar. He's called Fred. He's one of the procurement people. Akona wines and spirits Buruburu. Anasema kwamba wakati akiwa job anasikia hawa watu wa NMS na GSU wamekuja, in their WhatsApp group they tell each other that hawa watu wamekam. Kuna wimbo wanasemanga walikam na kinini, vijana wa Nairobi wanajua. Wamekam na Subaru. Na wakikuja hapo, they tell each other in the WhatsApp group, they close all the shops. That's why this military you're praising has not collected 7 billion this year. Let's take power back to the people. And he tried to define this election. It's not about liars and who don't lie. It's about a state project and a people's governor.
Speaking about people's governor, power to the people, let's give some power to the people who weighed in on this debate. We had asked some questions from Nairobians, and I believe we're ready to sample them right now.
My name is Masi Masila Achola, an executive program leader with the Maxwell leadership team, and also serving in the Kenya.
In the first 100 days, I pledge with my deputy to have a very fit for purpose organization to deliver essential services that Nairobians have been deprived of in the past, and especially Nairobians in the informal settlements and in low-income areas. And therefore, there'll be Executive Order number 1 that establishes a good government, a coherent government, and a government where the deputy governor has clear responsibilities, a government where the governor himself has clear responsibilities, and where we work as partners, him playing to his strengths and me playing to my strengths, but a proper cabinet. Also, we promise you a proper cabinet that is fit for purpose, and the purpose is essential service delivery. The people watching us at home, actually, They just want services. They want water in their taps. They want garbage collected. They want storm drains covered. They want pedestrian walks repaired. They want markets made. They don't want to continue selling on the roadsides. They want their bills on time, and they want to be treated with honor, and they want to be treated like citizens of Kenya, and they want to be enabled to do their businesses. So the first 100 days is about reconstructing the organization called Nairobi City County, because it does not exist, and we have a lot of demotivated employees. Make sure that we convince them, they start to see their salaries are paid, they are well taken care of, career development is sorted. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank the lady from Maxwell for that question. Maxwell Leadership Institute on Valley Road is an extremely important, pillar in mentoring many of our young people. I've actually taught many programs of leadership there, and I've been a participant in that. I think when she asked 100 days, maybe what she wanted to hear from me, Polycarp, was just to say, I will not quit first, as the beginning.
Thanks for answering for me. Go ahead.
Please keep reminding people, because people are afraid to talk to Komata.
Okay.
But secondly, I want to say this. In the first 100 days, I've said that you will not sort out Nairobi using quick fixes. The issues of this city don't need 100, and I'm not seeking a 100-day term. It's not quick fixes or bandage solutions that will sort it out. We have a 10-year vision and a 5-year vision with my. But in the first 100 days, what we're going to do, number one, is to implement the Urban Areas and Cities Act together with Section 14 of the County Government Act to create the 5 boroughs that I'm talking about in Nairobi. That if the person in charge of garbage in Kayole does not need to think about Westlands, the person in charge of a road in Langata should have nothing to do with Roysambu or Marurui, because that lack of accountability, when you ask them, okay, mbona hapa kuna takataka, pole boss kulikuwa na sijui crisis in Mukuru. So we'll set up the governance structure that will deliver to Nairobians. That is the first task, and that includes the county assembly. The second thing that we're going to do is to implement the standing orders that we've actually been working on, even as I've been in the Senate, proper standing orders for the inspectorate. We cannot have people criminalizing business, chasing our hawkers, throwing sticks at them. They must have proper, like any discipline force, standing orders. And finally, we'll implement the one business permit. You can't have businesses with 10 licenses.
No.
Today there is fire, tomorrow there is what? It will be one license. Right. And I will pay every other entity that needs to be paid from that one license that you pay in Nairobi.
Bwana Polycarp, mmekuwa mkizungumza kuhusu tatizo la maji taka katika kaunti ya Nairobi. Awali ulitaja kuhusu cartels. Je, unaamini kwamba ubinafsishaji wa huduma hizi katika kaunti ya Nairobi utasaidia katika kusuluhisha baadhi ya matatizo ambayo yamekuwepo kuhusu usimamizi wa huduma hizi?
Huduma za maji zimekuwa ni tatizo kubwa. Juzi nimetembea kule Ruai na muliona picha. Sikujua kuna mahali Nairobi watu ubeba maji bado na punda. Pia, so you learn every day. Now, if you go to Ruai, the problem is a problem of way leaves, which the senator perhaps was even ignored in Senate. There is a way leave issue between Kiambu and Nairobi, because today we are consuming 500,000 cubic meters of water every day in Nairobi. But that's really the level of production of water from our water sources, Dakaine, Roiro Dam. But the Roiro Dam and the Northern Collector Tunnel, we need to connect it. Na hiyo shida ya way leave ni shida ya kisiasa, lazima tutatue, na hiyo kitatuliwa, there'll be an extra almost close to 100,000 cubic, so we'll go to 600,000 immediately, and people watu wataanza kusikia relief. But in 5 years we have to build new water sources and work with the national government to build new water sources. But you've got the government that builds new water sources has to be a government that does not believe dams are for eating and stealing, because dams have to be done in places like the Nyandarua ecosystem, Maragua Dam in Murang'a, and that's why Nairobi has to be secured by being assisted by the neighboring countries to the metropole that is Nairobi City County.
Senator Sakaja, the taps in many homes and other businesses are running dry, but their water bowsers full to the brim and coming at a premium. How will you sort this?
First, again, it's really nice that we're at a university, because I need to school my friend about water. There are many things you've said that are completely false. Number one, the quantity that we consume is not that 525,000 that you're speaking about. Nairobi has 4 water sources. The first water source is Kikuyu Springs, just after Kikuyu campus. That was set up in 1907. After that, we developed Ruiru Dam in 1936. It provides 4%. Kikuyu Springs provides only 1%, which is 4,000 cubic meters of water. The third one is Sasumwa in Njambini. Sasumwa produces 11% of our water requirement in Nairobi, comes through Kabete treatment plant, then comes down this way. And the fourth one, the biggest of course, is Ndakaine, which gives us 84% of our water. Now Ndakaine was last developed in 1997. There were 3 phases. After 1997, there's been no additional source. So every single day, the people of Nairobi require 850 million liters of water, but get 525.6 million liters per day. You need to bridge that gap. In fact, you'll be shocked, Polycarp. 70% of the people you're talking about, the ones you didn't know carry water in Mutungi, 70% of them, of Nairobians, have never had a shower from the top. They bathe bottom up, like with the bucket. Bottom up is how many of us shower in this city. We want to give our people dignity. There is no dignity when women are scrambling outside these, boreholes that have been created in the water sources every day for water. This issue of distribution then is the next thing that must be. I asked about this time thing because I've just spoken about the quantity. So when we finish Northern Collector, December 2023, under our administration, I don't like saying our administration, we'll move into Northern Collector 2. One will sort out 85% of the water need, and then 65%, and then Northern Collector 2 will give us 85%. Now the second most important issue, if you allow me
on your time, let's give him an opportunity. Let's give him an opportunity. Just keep time.
The challenge of water. The debate in Nairobi is not about what needs to be done and how. There is consensus that we are short of sources of water. It is who will do it, because you need to be trustworthy and you need to be capable to get it done. That issue of who is the most important issue in this election. And on the issue of water, for sure, the supply and demand, there's too little supply for very high demand, and the numbers are what it is. The metropolitan area, because Nairobi even supplies Machakos, the EPZ area, with water, the biggest challenge is new sources of water for the city county of Nairobi, and that is a task between ourselves and the national government. And thank God we have Martha Karua, the original champion of water as Minister of Water during Kibaki's time, and she understands the task, and we are ready to work with her in Nairobi.
For Nairobi, it will be a responsibility. On to housing, a majority of Nairobians live in informal settlement. I just want to cover as much as we can, and a majority of the populace here live in informal settlements. And how are we going to change this housing demand and give quality housing and other services for Nairobians? I'll start with you.
Thank you. I'll just take the same time to finish on water. I've heard them mentioning Martha, earlier he mentioned Raila. These are people we all we know and we've worked with many years. Don't run away and hide behind them when you don't have the point. Just say the point as it is. Because Nairobians are electing you to be governor of Nairobi, not Martha Karua, not Raila Odinga. They're electing you. If they elect you, if they make that decision, which I know they will not make, you must sort out the distribution issue of water, because water goes hand in hand with housing. So I've spoken about the quantity, and it's not about waiting for an angel from national government to do it. Already we're at 90% with the Northern Collector 1. The piping has been, or rather the tunneling has been done. The piping is at 34%. This side from Apro Isambu, coming from Kiambu Institute of Technology to USIU, moving down, is already going on. We have so many areas that do not have piping. I've never had piping in Nairobi. There are people who actually build houses across what were the physical levers. They shut it down, they collect water, and then you see these bowsers moving around the city labeled clean water or NMS. That will come to an end using SCADA technology, where as governor, I'll be able to see on my phone, Mali wamekata maji. Now, urban housing is a huge challenge in this city, and it's also something that the built environment has made people lack dignity in this city. The county government is not in the business of building houses. We shall facilitate the private sector through proper land tenure and giving them proper land of government to actually partner with them to build these houses. We can actually do it through the silo model, where you build and people move and come in there. Urban renewal is being resisted in Eastlands because of lack of trust of that institution or body that is praising here today. I wish you go there tomorrow and tell them what you said about NMS.
Bwana Polycarp, maji ni mojawapo ya shida ambazo zinakumba wale ambao wanaishi katika mitaa ya mabanda katika kaunti ya Nairobi. Hasoni mpango upi ambao uko nao wa kuinua na kuimarisha hadhi ya watu ambao wanaishi katika mitaa ya mabanda katika kaunti ya Nairobi na changamoto ambazo wanakumbana nazo?
So first of all, the county of Nairobi in its own books owns close to 532 hectares of land. On it sits 12,000 single dwelling units. Nairobi has to strategically densify, but that process requires proper public participation. You can already hear my competitor is whetting his appetite to steal your homes. You people in Makadara and Jericho, umesikia, he has pronounced himself that this will be private sector led. I have told you, this thing called urban renewal, which is what they want Nairobi to take, we have to be very careful. It needs proper conversations around it, and we must build housing that is truly affordable housing, decent housing, and before we build, we must ask the people who sit in those estates, mnataka nini? How will this work? And how will you be compensated? Before that is done, we are rushing, and you've seen a big rush towards that work, and we are saying, put it on hold. The Constitution demands proper public participation, proper understanding, and I want to believe that conversation has already not been held. So the housing question in the informal settlements is to continue the work that has started. Roads, water, sewer, boreholes. These informal settlements require a lot of investment, and that investment requires allocation of improving our revenue, and also making sure Senate allocates us the money we require to attend to high density areas.
Okay, a rebuttal in terms of what he said on your housing urban development plan there, an opportunity.
There are people waiting in the wings to come and steal your houses, and you've had the private sector.
He has the opportunity, you're in his time. You have an opportunity.
I don't know who represents the private sector here on this stage, if you look clearly. But what I'll say is this. While you're away, when you ran away from Nairobians, Polycarp, I represented the people of Majengo in Kamkunji in court to fight what you're talking about. You were somewhere in your Bentley, living the life, never spoken about an issue of Nairobians. But now you're saying we want to steal. That they were moved from slums in Majengo, the slums were put down and put in 11,000 bob houses while they're paying 5,000 shillings, 4,000 shillings. Today, the amount of money owed that they need to pay 60 million shillings. That's what someone wants to steal the houses. When I talk about urban renewal, the entity you're praising is rushing. Just this week, there have been more than 3-4 advertisements on the newspaper for them to engage contractors on urban renewal, and they have 28 days to go. They must stop that, and I'm putting them on notice. In fact, it's against the law. An entity whose time has ended cannot engage in 10-15-year contracts today. He doesn't have the guts to talk against NMS, and he will not. But they must not do that, because the people that you're talking about, I have represented for
NMS,
5 years.
NMS is not an enemy of Nairobi.
I have not ran away from them, and they are saying they believe urban renewal must be done. They don't trust those people who are doing it. And you say it's an issue of trust. It's not about who's going to do it. The first thing, basic thing that they want is to know that that person will be there to do it for 5 years and will not run away.
It's
first deliver on that.
It's unfortunately, it's time out for us in terms of this debate. There's a lot to cover. I believe both of you gentlemen have spoken and have alluded to the fact that you have the manifestos will be open to the public, Nairobians to be specific, to peruse and digest. And that is where we will end it at this opportunity. I believe even the time for closing remarks are not there. If we probably managed the time a bit better in the beginning, it would have ended up even better in terms of coverage of the discussion.
Asanteni sana kwa kuja.
Thank you very
Asante
much.
sana.
Thank you very much for having us.
Naam, wasemapo wahenga kilicho na mwanzo lazima kiwe na mwisho. Hii sasa ndio tamati ya mjadala baina ya wanaomezea mate kiti cha ugavana katika kaunti ya Nairobi.
Indeed, our appreciation to the candidates, KISII and Johnson Sakaja, and to you, the audience that turned up here and out there watching on television and from around the world, of course, online. Thank you all. My name is Mark Masai from NTV.
Nami naitwa Zubeida Kome na kutakia usiku mwema. Zubeida Kome kutoka KTN News.
I'm only human. I'm just a man. Help me believe in what I could be and all that I am. Show me the stairway.
The week after for the deputy president's race and the president's race as well. I dare say if it's a debate you tuned in for this evening, I'm pretty sure it's one you got. The question is, however, a debate on what? Was it a debate on the issues that plague Nairobians today, that live within this great county, or was it a debate on rebuttals and counter-rebuttals between Johnson Sakaja and, of course, KISII as well? That's some of the feedback I'll be looking from my panelists who've been patiently and keenly following this particular debate. But first, let me read your feedback. This is...
Just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday is gone, see Jesus, and tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today, show me the way, one day at a time. Do you remember when you walked among men? Well, Jesus, you know, if you're looking below, it's worse now than then. Cheating and stealing, violence and crime. So for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. That's all I'm asking from you. Just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday is gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never